The starship Vigilant Remnant emerged from warp just beyond the shadow of the dead planet. Earth, once a cradle of civilization, now a graveyard swallowed by silence. Its orbit was a minefield of broken satellites and scorched debris, a ring of ancient bones scattered by the fury of a sun that had aged too quickly, too violently. For 300 years, no vessel had dared approach it, not out of fear but irrelevance. Earth was a myth, a cautionary tale, a place whispered about in the far corners of the galaxy, the birthplace of humanity, buried beneath layers of tragedy and time. But myths, Commander Silas had learned, often hold the most dangerous truths. The remnant scanners pierced the clouded atmosphere, revealing the ghostly outline of continents reshaped by tidal collapse and tectonic violence. Whole cities, New Santiago, Neo-Boston, and the forgotten twin cores of Eurodome East and West, were now ruins smothered in ash and ocean. As the ship passed into lower orbit, an eerie aurora danced across Earth's exosphere, a residual effect from the shattered magnetic field. It was beautiful and utterly lifeless. Inside the command deck, lights flickered as aged systems adapted to the planet's interference. Commander Silas stood tall in her exosuit, matte grey armor humming softly with neural sync pulses. Her jaw tightened as the first visual scans came in, images of skeletal skyscrapers rising from algae-choked floodplains, fusion reactors cracked, open like eggs, and blackened forests stretching toward the horizon like scorched nerves. Her voice barely broke a whisper. "This is where it all began." Dr. Rahn, xenobiologist and cultural anthropologist, adjusted her visor and muttered beneath her breath. "Carbon dating matches. This is pre-diaspora Earth. 27 billion data points, and none of them prepared us for this." Her screen displayed fragments of pictographs and signage, preserved by cold and silence. A road sign read, Interstate 95. A half-sunken dome bore the faded letters, Smithsonian Global Archive. They had arrived at the precise coordinates, passed down through rebel memory shards, a half-corrupted packet of data, believed to have originated from a centuries-old AI. Archive Node 9. They were here for one thing, the core. Buried deep beneath what was once Washington Sector, now AC. Frozen, irradiated sinkhole, the core was said to contain the last complete record of pre-cataclysm Earth, its knowledge, its failures, and its final messages. For generations, scattered colonies debated whether the core even existed. But now, standing amidst its fractured skeleton, doubt was no longer an option. As they descended in the drop shuttle, the city's bones loomed like broken teeth, jutting through the snow and dust. Lightning crawled across the crimson sky as acidic storm clouds rolled in. The crew moved in pairs, their motion quiet, reverent. They weren't just scientists, they were pilgrims. Imagine, what if this happened to you? What if you were walking through the remains of the world that made you, breathing recycled air while stepping through your ancestors' memories? What if you discovered that even in extinction, your kind left something behind, something sacred, something unfinished? Commander Silas's boots crunched over vitrified pavement, long cooled after the fires of the collapse. Her visor displayed biosigns, none, no fauna, no insects, nothing but carbon shadows where people once stood. The decay was absolute, but it was not accidental. "This place wasn't just destroyed," she said, kneeling beside a rusted robotic caretaker frozen mid-crawl. "It was sterilized." Ron knelt beside a cracked memorial wall, brushing ice from the engraved names. They knew it was coming. They had time, not to run, but to prepare. They wanted someone to find this, but they weren't the first. High. Above them, in a hidden layer of orbit cloaked by quantum mirrors and a stealth array older than the stars themselves, another ship watched. Sleek and black as obsidian, the observer's path had been in position for over 60 hours. It bore no identification markers, no affiliation sigils. Its crew operated under no known flag. On its bridge, illuminated by spectral data and swirling gravitational readouts, sat Lieutenant Mara, eyes sharp, mind sharper. She adjusted her optical implants as fresh telemetry from Earth's surface streamed in. "Target Group Alpha is making entry into Sector 13, she said flatly. "They've bypassed the warded barriers." Behind her, Commander Drelk, Of the Althari Compact, an insectoid race known for their obsession with lost knowledge, watched silently, his mandibles twitching with anticipation. Let them. They do not know the core has already been copied. We simply observe until we are certain of their intent. Unseen, unacknowledged, watching. Every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Right now, Galactic War Stories is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you love epic sci-fi battles, deep space mysteries, and the untold stories of the cosmos, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us grow this universe together. Down below, a hidden sensor embedded in the ruins of a war memorial blinked to life for the first time in 200 years. Its signal pulsed upward through rock and soil, through electromagnetic interference and sky, and directly into the waiting data core of the observer's path. A wordless alert. The humans had triggered something. Commander Silas didn't know it yet, but every move she made from this point forward was being watched, not just by passive eyes, but by a coalition of galactic powers terrified of what she might find. Because if the core was still intact, then so was Earth's final weapon, and it had just woken up. Dust swirled through the catacombs beneath the archive district. Fine. Grey and bone-dry like the ashes of an ancient god. The descent had taken hours. What began as shattered metro tunnels and collapsed maglev lines had become a complex web of buried infrastructure, each layer older than the one before. Commander Silas led the way, her torchlight cutting through, the darkness like a blade. Her breath echoed in the still air, each exhale a ghostly trail on her visor glass. The deeper they went, the less Earth resembled itself. Gone were the monuments and the cities. What remained was something more ancient, more deliberate. Behind her, data specialist Mian worked in silence, fingers dancing across the slate-grey hollow surface of his portable processor. Mapping software's failing, he murmured. Frustration. Building. It's not interference, it's like the system doesn't want to remember what this place looks like. Silas paused, turning back. What do you mean? The layout keeps shifting. Not physically, digitally. Someone rewrote these tunnels, recoded them in the maps. This was meant to be lost. He wasn't wrong. The architecture here was unlike anything above. Curved alloy walls with no visible seams, embedded luminescent lines that pulsed like veins beneath skin. Not human design, or not modern human. This was tech from the era before the diaspora, when Earth was still unified. Still daring enough to invent wonders beyond necessity. Fusion-age infrastructure, Dr. Rahn whispered, brushing her gloved hand over a section of the wall. This alloy's reactive, hyperconductive, non-corrosive. No colony I visited ever reached this level before the fall. We weren't just advanced, we were dangerous. A low hum vibrated through the ground, rising in pitch until a faint blue glow flooded the corridor ahead. The team stopped, weapons raised, not in fear, but reverence. A sealed vault stood before them, marked with the sigil of the Terran Accord. A circle encasing a double helix, flanked by twin stars. Humanity's old flag, a whisper from the past, untouched by time. Silas approached. Mian, open it. No visible controls, but there's an access node here, biometric. Looks like retinal and neural match required. Silas's brow furrowed. Who's it keyed to? Mian hesitated. His screen shimmered with shifting data. It's not keyed to a person, it's keyed to lineage. This thing is locked to Earthborn DNA. The system's waiting for someone like you. For a moment no one spoke. Do it, Rahn urged. We came this far. With a breath, Silas stepped forward. The vault scanned her retinas. Then it paused, and the walls vibrated. A voice spoke, not mechanical but human, female, tinged with exhaustion and impossible sadness. Lineage confirmed. Earth's memory awakens. With a hiss of air and a groan like tectonic plates shifting, the vault slid open. What lay beyond was not a chamber. It was a simulation. The crew was enveloped in white light, then sound, color, heat. Suddenly they stood in a vast glass atrium bathed in golden sunlight, looking out on a version of Earth that no longer existed. Children played among green. Parks, Drones glided silently above. Skyscrapers shimmered like polished bone. It was Earth, alive, vibrant, perfect. A holographic figure materialized beside them. A woman in a simple grey uniform, eyes sharp but kind. She looked directly at Silas. "I am Archive Voice 9. If you are seeing this, the accord has fallen. Humanity has scattered, but our story must be remembered." Around them, the walls of the simulation lit up with scenes. Mars colonists, laying their first foundation stones. The rings of Saturn being mined for hydrogen. Interstellar gates opening like flowers of light in the void. Then came the fall. Cities crumbling, oceans rising, sky black with ash and fire. A war in orbit, one last act of desperation to protect the archive. Voice 9 continued. "They told us to flee, to save ourselves. But we chose something else. We chose to remember. This vault contains the entire cultural, scientific, and military legacy of Earth. If you are of our blood, you may access it. But beware, what is kept here was never meant to be used again. The weapon that ended the war, the one we locked away, is here too." Silas turned to her team. "She's talking about Aegis." Mian swallowed. "I thought Aegis was a myth." "It was a myth," Ran said quietly. "A failsafe. A defense system designed to turn the tide of the War of Collapse. They say it could burn a planet's atmosphere, or restart a dying star." "And now we know it was real," Silas said. "And it's been watching us. Since the moment we landed. Because far above, aboard the observer's path, alarms had begun to flare. They've activated the archive core," Mara snapped. "Telemetry spiking. That's not just data, they've triggered a subroutine." Commander Drelk rose from his seat. "Shut it down, before they awaken the weapon." "It's too late," Mara said, scanning the readout. "It's already interfaced with her neural signature. Aegis has bonded." The Althari's mandibles clicked sharply. "Then Earth is no longer silent. We must prepare for war." Back in the vault, the simulation began to flicker, not degrade, evolve. New code was unfolding around Silas. Data streamed into her HUD faster than any firewalled system should allow. The archive wasn't just showing her the past, it was rewriting her present. "Mian," she said, voice firm, "you said this place was built to remember. But what if it was also built to choose?" "To choose what?" he asked. She turned to face them, eyes lit with the archive's glow. "Not what? Who?" Outside the vault, the winds of Earth howled louder, as if the planet itself had sensed a shift. From orbit, the scars of its surface looked deeper, darker, old wounds reopened by a truth too long buried. But the ground was no longer silent. Deep beneath the archive vault, the ancient infrastructure had stirred. Hidden conduits lit up like capillaries in a sleeping beast. Signals, quantum encrypted and impossibly old, shot outward in bursts, faster than light, skimming through the void like a message in a bottle thrown into a hostile sea. And across that sea, someone answered. Far beyond Earth's orbit, in the shattered remnants of what was once the Kuiper Defense Array, a dormant satellite, codenamed Sentinel Verge 1, awakened. Its core AI had been inactive for over 2 centuries. Now it pulsed, online with a single priority directive: protect the bonded vessel, recognize the core signature, await activation of Aegis protocol. Inside the archive, Commander Silas struggled to process the download. Her neural link flared with pain as terabytes of information flooded her mind. Schematics of forgotten superweapons, military doctrine from the pre-fall accord, and something stranger, a living map. Not just of Earth's ruins, but of everything Earth had ever touched. Run monitored her vitals, eyes wide. Her synaptic loads off the charts, she should be seizing, but Silas stood firm. I can feel it, she said, voice low. It's like it knows I'm ready, like it's been waiting for someone to finish what we started. What exactly? Are you finishing? Mian asked, his voice tense. Silas looked at him, not with the cold pragmatism of a soldier, but with the haunted determination of a historian holding the final page of a lost book. Earth wasn't destroyed by enemies. It wasn't just war or climate or failure. We chose this. We sealed ourselves away to stop something worse. The simulation shifted again, this time without prompting. Around them, holographic fire tore through the sky. Ships in low orbit exploded in perfect silence, and from the dark came a fleet, vast and alien, in human shapes wrapped in event horizon shadows. They weren't just enemies, they were something other. Voice 9 returned. We called them the Hollow. Not a species, but a wave. A hunger. They don't invade planets, they erase them. We never understood their purpose, only that they sought one thing, knowledge. Every world that defied them vanished. Every world that fought back, burned. The room dimmed. We built Aegis not as a weapon, but as a lock, a failsafe. It creates a perimeter of distortion, a no-thought zone, a blank in space where nothing can be seen, detected, or desired. We buried Earth inside it, hoping the Hollow would move on. The breath caught in Ran's throat. That's why Earth vanished from the star maps. Why the galaxy thought it was myth. We didn't fall, Silas said. We hid. But now they were visible again. Aboard the observer's path, alarms screamed in cascading tones as star charts updated in real time. Earth's re-entry into galactic awareness had tripped dozens of long-dead sensors. A signal flare had gone up, visible to every major faction across 5 systems. Pirate lords, borderline AI empires, and worse, the Hollow. Mara slammed her fist on the console. We need to evacuate now. Commander Drelk shook his head. No, this changes everything. If Aegis is still online, and if it's bonded to a living carrier, then the balance of power is about to shift. We stay. We need to know what she's capable of, and if she chooses war, we choose first strike, Mara finished grimly. Back. On the surface, seismic tremors cracked through the ruins as buried mechanisms responded to Silas's presence. Something massive began rising from the ice. A buried station, oval and armored, shaped like the seed of a long-extinct tree. This was the Aegis Vault, a containment fortress meant to never be seen again. Now its gates opened, groaning under the pressure of time and secrecy. Within its core chamber, Silas found it, a spherical device suspended in a gravitic field, blacker than shadow, featureless. Yet as she approached, it pulsed, once, like a heart. And suddenly, it spoke, not aloud, but inside her mind. Do you accept stewardship of Earth's last defense? Silas hesitated, just long enough to remember the colonies that had forgotten Earth, the fractured systems clawing at each other for scraps of old tech, the endless wars fought by descendants who never knew their origin, and the Hollow returning. I do. Beam of light burst from the sphere, and in an instant her armor rewrote itself. Growing layers of smart metal, nanoweave plating, and adaptive shielding, the pulse of Aegis now lived in her chest, resonating with her heartbeat. But bonding wasn't activation. That required intent, and intent was a choice. Outside, the sky burned. A ship emerged from folded space without warning, sleek, curved, and horrifyingly smooth. No seams, no markings. Its presence distorted everything around it, like a dream warping the air. The Hollow had arrived, drawn by the signal, drawn by curiosity, drawn by the one thing they could never allow to exist again, Earth. The first strike came without light or sound, a ripple in space-time that turned an entire square kilometer of ruins into dust. The observer's path immediately broke orbit, trailing cloak fragments and decoy drones in a desperate attempt to vanish. Inside the vault, Silas raised her arm. A wave of light shimmered outward from the Aegis core, and the Hollow's second shot bent, curved around the archive site as if refusing to touch it. Aegis had engaged, but the bond was unstable. The AI flooded her mind again, now showing her the cost. Every use of Aegis's power would consume something, energy, yes, but also memory. Each activation would burn fragments of Earth's record to fuel its defenses. History, art, culture, the very legacy they had come to preserve. The E. More I fight, she whispered, the more we lose. That's why they sealed it, Ran said softly. Not because it was too dangerous, but because it cost too much. Silas stared at the sky, at the hollow ship, now splitting into dozens of shards, like a swarm preparing to feed. She had one shot before they broke through. A choice: defend the archive or erase herself to destroy them. Mian stepped forward. "You don't have to do this alone." But Silas didn't answer. Not yet. The hollow ship hung above the archive site like a suspended apocalypse, its hull shifting with impossible geometry. It moved not through propulsion, but by altering the space around it. Space obeyed it. Smaller segments detached from the central body, curving through the sky like liquid predators. Each one pulsed with intent, not rage or fear, curiosity. The kind of curiosity that burns down villages to see how fire spreads. Commander Silas stood alone atop the rising cradle of the Aegis vault. Her armor shimmered with molten blue veins of stored energy, the resonance of an ancient power system coming alive inside her. But that power pulsed with duality, defense and erasure. Every deployment of Aegis did not just destroy the enemy, it erased part of Earth's cultural memory to do so. Inside her HUD, entire libraries flashed by. Paintings, languages, music, love letters, first walks on alien moons, recordings of laughter, of grief, of family, all stored within the archive's deep core, all vulnerable. A voice echoed in her mind again. Not the AI, not the archive, a memory. Her mother's voice, long dead, whispered in the voice of a lullaby. Everything has a cost, but not everything should be paid. She looked to Mian and Dr. Ran, who stood below, desperate to help but unable to reach her. "I can't hold them back without giving them everything," Silas said through the comms. "Then give them something else," Mian replied. "You're not just bonded to Aegis, you're bonded to Earth, and Earth is more than what we lost. It's what we chose." At that moment, the hollow launched a second wave. Energy beams crackled through the clouds, tearing up the surface of the archive's perimeter. Ran's shield drone disintegrated in an instant. Mian ducked into cover, his screen flickering with data corruption warnings. The hollow weren't trying to kill. They were probing, testing Aegis, learning. They were going to adapt. Silas made her decision. She reached inside the archive, not just through interface but through memory. She selected a piece of history, one that mattered, one that could be lost. A symphony, Earth's first deep space broadcast transmitted from the Lunar Academy in 2041. A full orchestral score composed during the Earth-Mars War. A song of hope, played once and then lost to radiation storms. She fed it into Aegis. The armor surged. Above her, the hollow swarm shuddered as reality bent. A pulse of inverted light, neither visible nor measurable, ripped outward. The ground beneath Silas melted into iridescent glass. The hollow's lead ship recoiled, its shadow tearing from its own form, as if rejecting what it saw. Fragments of its swarm fell from the sky like pieces of a shattered mirror. For a moment, the archive was safe, but only for a moment. One hollow vessel survived, larger than the rest, deeper than any known signal. It emerged not into orbit, but into mind space, linking directly into Silas's thoughts. Fear didn't attack, it communicated. "Why hide this?" it asked in perfect Terran standard, spoken through every frequency of her cortex. "Why bury a memory that sings?" Silas's hands trembled. "Because you destroy what you don't understand. You consume knowledge to silence it." The hollow paused, and in that pause she understood. They didn't see themselves as destroyers. They were collectors, devourers, yes, but not out of cruelty, out of need. They fed on understanding, but without empathy. Aegis was never built to stop conquest. It was built to stop curiosity without conscience. Then came the twist she didn't expect. "Then teach us," the hollow said. The AI inside Aegis flared, alarms screaming. "Communication channel breached, corruption likely. Defensive protocols disabled unless override is confirmed." Silas stood at a precipice no one in history had faced. Obliterate the hollow with one final strike, sacrificing the last untouched archive of Earth's soul. Or speak. "Mian," she whispered. "Patch the archive into a broadcast frequency. Global, multidimensional. You want to talk to them. They listen to a symphony, she said. Let's see if they understand words. He worked fast. Within seconds, the archive's core connected to Silas's neural interface. She stood in the epicenter of Earth's last breath and began to speak, not as a soldier, but as a daughter of humanity. Earth isn't just where we were born. It's where we chose to remember. We chose to keep our mistakes, our failures, our dreams and our fears, because without them, survival means nothing. The Hollow's presence quieted. Their ship hovered in stillness. Silas sent them a fragment. No weapon, no command, just a recording. A child's voice, hers from decades ago, reading her first story aloud to her mother. The Hollow paused for 73 seconds, and then they vanished. Not in fear, not in retreat, but in choice. They withdrew, taking their broken fragments with them. The skies over Earth cleared. The orbiting debris stilled. Silence returned, but it wasn't the silence of death. It was the silence of respect. Silas collapsed to her knees, the armor retracting into standby mode. The Aegis core dimmed, now dormant, but not dead. Mian rushed forward, catching her before she hit the ground. They left, he breathed. They actually left. Ran, staring at the clear sky, whispered, not because of what we fought with, but because of who we are. Silas, weak but alive, opened her eyes. We're not ruins anymore, she said. We're witnesses. And far beyond, across the black edge of known space, a new mark appeared in the Hollow's cartography. Earth. Not as a threat, but as a voice. If you found yourself holding your breath as the Hollow listened, if Earth's last secret left you with more questions than answers, tell us. What would you have done with the power of Aegis? Let us know in the comments. Share this story with your fellow stargazers and ignite the conversation. The universe is watching, and maybe, just maybe, it's listening too. Until next time, keep your senses sharp, your heart human, and never forget, the stars remember everything.